Hello and welcome, my name is Nate from Video Games Recon, and as per usual we're going to be recapping this week's popular culture and gaming news that I find interesting and think you will too. Please keep in mind this video was recorded either early Friday evening or Saturday morning on UK time, so some important news could be missing and that this video will be posted most likely on a Saturday or Sunday. Anywho, enough jibber jabber, without any further ado, let's do it to it. First up in movie news, the cast for the somewhat infamous and upcoming film Ghost in the Shell that was accused of whitewashing the story by casting Scarlett Johansson in the lead as Major Kusanagi, a woman clearly of Japanese descent, has supposedly been leaked along with a bunch of pictures. I say leaked as you never can tell on the internet these days, and because it could be in the publisher's interest to leak these pictures themselves, as it shows a very multicultural cast with a bunch of prominent Japanese actors. Whether this cast was always the case or reactionary to the internet's outrage, who knows, but putting a very multicultural spin on it is a great call, as if you play it off as a society as a whole is more multicultural in the future, and that what is considered as of Japanese descent may be very different to what we think of it now in a racial sense, as opposed to in the future being possibly more of a geographical sense. Either way, a very smart play, but I wouldn't expect the internet to be completely placated by this news. September's Xbox games with gold are as follows: Forza Horizon and the original Mirror's Edge on Xbox 360 and Xbox One, and Earthlock, Festival of Magic and Assassin's Creed Chronicles China on the Xbox One. As per usual, thanks to Xbox's backwards compatibility, a pretty solid lineup on top of a brand new game to boot. Not too shabby. The Division's upcoming DLC Survival, originally expected for release in September, has been delayed till later this year, and the final DLC will be pushed back into early next year. Instead, on September 13th, Ubisoft will be releasing a 1.4 patch to fix a lot of the lingering issues, ranging from known bug fixes, which there are a lot of, bugs that is, not fixes, which has encumbered the game somewhat, hence the need for this patch. Also, they are improving loot drops, time to kill enemies, weapon and PvP balancing, quality of life and much more. Personally, this to someone like me who hasn't touched the Division for a long while is needed. These things and many others have really sucked the heat out of this game, and people just aren't talking about it anymore, leaving one to assume that no one's playing the Division anymore, which is quite possibly the case. Whereas Destiny, with all its problems, particularly year one, has managed to keep engagement from a significant amount of its initial audience, even with its dips of inactivity in between updates. The major difference for me is that Destiny seems to improve exponentially from expansion to expansion, whereas the Division appears to stand still even after updates, and that Destiny has the carrot on the stick of Destiny 2 dangling in front of people to keep up hype in the game going into the future. So I see this as a good decision by Ubisoft, a moment to pause and get its shit together and maybe reflect on what they want this franchise to be going forward. With the 20th anniversary of Duke Nukem just around the corner, there are rumours, supposed leaks and a countdown website all dedicated to a new Duke Nukem game. The leaks at the moment are geared towards a Duke Nukem 3D remaster known as Duke Nukem World Tour, and is supposed to be a remix of Duke Nukem 3D with both old and new content, and will also feature online co-op gameplay and multiplayer deathmatch style games, which all sounds quite interesting. But I'd suggest you take it all with a pinch of salt until the countdown clock ends on September the 2nd, and we find out if this information is legit or just an elaborate hoax. Thanks to the discovery of a summary for the ESRB rating system spotted by Twitter user Wario64, it appears we have a much greater picture of just how much combat in the upcoming Resident Evil 7 game will feature. As stated in the summary, players will use weapons like pistols, shotguns, flamethrowers, explosives and chainsaws against mutated creatures, and also discusses scenes of intense graphical violence, which to be fair is a given, and including, but not limited to, dismemberment by a chainsaw and a shovel getting impaled through a character's face, as well as mangled corpses with guts hanging out and a bunch of profanity to boot. But perhaps more importantly, we find out one of the main characters' names and motivations, stating, "You'll take control of Ethan, who's looking for his wife in a dilapidated mansion." Sounds kind of familiar, right? Like Silent Hill meets the original Resident Evil, which is pretty much what this game is going for. I'm just glad combat is going to be a prominent feature in Resident Evil 7, as I hate feeling powerless in these sorts of games. Let's just hope the weapons are balanced and don't take away from the tension too much. The best way to do this in my opinion would be by making ammunition very scarce. Anywho, roll on January 24th. PT-inspired game Allison Road has been brought back from the dead, figuratively and perhaps literally. Creator Christian Kessler confirmed that he would continue to work on the game solo like he originally did at the game's inception, however, this time under a new development label Far From Home. Originally being kickstarted and gaining over half of its goal within 3 weeks, the developers decided to cancel the Kickstarter in favour of teaming up with publisher Team 17. Although not discussed by Kessler, you'd have to assume that he'd wished he'd have stuck with Kickstarter, as it seems most likely that the cancellation of this game would have been caused by a breakdown in relationship with his former development studio Lilith Limited and publisher Team 17. Anywho, luckily he managed to come to some sort of deal and get back control of the game, and although at the moment he's working on it by himself, hopefully it won't take too long to come out, as he states that the majority of features and mechanics have already been implemented in the previous development phase. Although Final Fantasy 15 got delayed by 2 months, we've learnt an interesting quirk about the game, in that the first half of Final Fantasy 15 starts off very much like an open world, but as the game progresses through its 15 chapters, it becomes more and more linear, kinda like Final Fantasy 10 or 13 but in reverse. Director Tabata states that if you do it like that, then you won't get tired of the open world, and as the whole game becomes more focused, you can enjoy a traditionally Final Fantasy style progression, adding that playing through the game's main route takes between 40 to 50 hours, so players should have the opportunity to savour both styles of gameplay. That all sounds very interesting, and to my knowledge never really been done before. Whether that is for a reason like it doesn't work and isn't a good idea, I don't know, but we'll soon find out come November 29th. That is, if it doesn't get delayed again. And now a bunch of PlayStation news, starting off with the PlayStation Slim leaks at the start of the week just gone. Expected for a very short release on September 14th, a week after the September 7th PlayStation event. The only changes so far are its slightly smaller size, lack of an optical out point, and a seemingly small revision to the controller, now showing a small slither of the light bar just on top of the touchpad. Aside from this, it is looking unlikely to have extra features such as 4K upscaling and HDR support like the Xbox One S. Instead seeming to target economy over additional features. With that said, they're going to have to come out with a very aggressive price point to not be outshone by the Xbox One S. On a side note and purely personal opinion, I think it looks kind of ugly compared to the original PS4, which was already quite a small package with a very sleek and stylish design. Carrying on with the PlayStation news, PlayStation Plus is getting a price hike in the US of $60 and $70 in Canada, and follows on from the price increase in Europe last year. Personally, I'm torn on PS Plus as a whole, as although on one side you get a bunch of games to play every year for about the price of a AAA game, which doesn't sound like a bad idea. But on the other side of the coin, the concept of having to pay to be able to play games online that I've already bought when the impact on the PlayStation Network is minimal, and digital storefronts on PC seem to be just fine and dandy without having to charge for such things, just seems ridiculous. So yeah, like I said, I'm torn. What do you guys in the US think? Gonna keep your subscription or cancel it at the soonest possible convenience? In much more positive news, Sony has finally got around to implementing two-step verification for PSN accounts, mitigating people taking control over your account. Well, better late than never, I guess. Keeping with PlayStation's move to let you stream your PS4 to your PC, PlayStation announced on its blog that the service PlayStation Now is available in the UK, the Netherlands and Belgium on PC, negating the need for Sony hardware to be able to play classic PlayStation games from the PS3 era and before, which is a smart business strategy, as it makes games previously unavailable to PC gamers without the use of emulators available to a huge market which may have never played those exclusives or first-party games, and hence will increase sales in the underutilized PlayStation Now service. And the added upshot of this is that it's now easier than ever to use a PS4 controller on a PC, as PlayStation is also releasing a wireless dongle in September for $25 so that you can easily use a PS4 pad, not just for PlayStation Now but for all games that support the controller, which is cool as I always mess up the button prompts on Xbox controllers with being so used to PlayStation's buttons. So, that was my recap of the week's gaming news or points of interest. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff I'll miss each week, so feel free to post anything you're into that I missed in the comments section for discussion. Anywho, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe for more BS of a similar nature. Thank you and goodbye.